Hi everyone, so I just wanted to make a little rambly video about books because I like to talk about books and I feel like I don't do enough book discussions. Like, I'm doing a lot more tags and TBRs and such, but the discussion type videos, the opinion stuff has been kind of lacking. So I was thinking about what draws me to certain books. What makes certain books my favorite? Now, despite the fact that I do read a lot of YA, and a lot of it seems to be more towards the contemporary side, but I like to think of myself as a fairly eclectic reader, except for like hardcore romance. I will usually pick up anything unless it's like, I don't know, extremely racist or something, or homophobic, or, anything bad like that. Like, not people learn a lesson kind of thing, like just straight up that kind of stuff. So, I was kind of thinking about what makes books like memorable for me, what makes me want to like reread them all the time. And for me, it's a combination of things. I like to think. I think often, and I know that sounds kind of dumb, but what I mean is I'm always curious about stuff that really doesn't have answers. I'm the kind of person that wonders if there's life on other planets and how this or that happened, and you know, is there life after death? Is there reincarnation? Is there, what religion is right, if there is any? I'm still shaping my spiritual path, and I'm very eclectic even in that. So I like books that make me think. And the thing is, like, YA gets a lot of crap for, like, people just saying it's crap and everything. But I can think of a few books that have really, like, made me think and everything, and made me look at a different view, and they were written for a young adult audience. One of them would be The Giver. I wasn't too crazy about the rest of the quartet, even though it's really good and they are well written, but that one really stood out. It is kind of mature for a middle grade, reader at times, but I think when you start getting to an age where, you are developing your own thoughts and opinions and beginning to learn more about the world and the history of the world and what's happening around the world, you kind of need to start thinking about stuff, because you can't be protected from it forever. And then you have books like The Giver, as small as it is, asking what it would cost, to live in a perfect, safe society. How much of being human would be taken away from us? And I love that about that book. That's a book you probably could read in a day, really, if you tried. It's only like 100 and something pages. But as simple as the writing was, it just really made you question things. And even though I have developed a preference for first-person point of view, I will like books like that are third person if the author can really get into the character and the world around them. See, the thing about first person versus third person is third person is really good for multiple views and an overview of like the world around them. What I love about first person is that it's almost like you were brought by the character themselves into that world. It's sort of like if you go to, I don't know, another city, town, or country, and you have like a tour. You're on like a tour, and you have like a tour guide and everything, and they're telling you about, you know, their land, you know, maybe their customs and everything, and food and culture, you know, all that kind of stuff. That's what I love about first person is you are seeing that world through their eyes. You know, it's almost like being explained things that are new to you, but on a deeper level. Because instead of listening to somebody talk about it and teach you, it's like you take that journey with the character. And, you know, I'm all for books that are diverse and have representation and everything if it's done correctly and it's not done just to like a virtual signal or whatever. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having somebody of a different ethnicity, of a different religion, etc., but have them be more than that. You know, and I'm open to reading more diversely, and, you know, it's something I want to do and everything, and I would be happy to take suggestions and everything, as long as the characters are well written, well thought out, they have personalities that are beyond what they are. I need them to be a person themselves, no matter where they're from, if they're American, if they're Christian, Muslim, you know, whatever, if they're from a city, a country, a suburb. You know, like I said, I'm open to diversity in everything. What I care about is characters. Just like the average character that you normally see all over YA and everything else, I think all characters deserve a personality. So, you know, my reading taste is all over the place. I am still exploring things that are new to me. I'm, you know, always open to new ideas and everything. Like I said, I like books that make me think. Of course, garbage has to come now. And, you know, the idea of being diverse and having representation is very diverse within itself. I mean, it can even go for stuff like, you know, class and where people live and how people think. One of the things that made me fall in love with my favorite series, which is Hunger Games, is that not only did we have a protagonist that kind of came from somewhat of a broken family and was a very, you know, devoted sister and everything. This was a protagonist that did not live in a suburb. They did not live in a nice house. They didn't discover like magic and all this, and they didn't have a bunch of friends. No, they were very poor and they struggled. Even though this was way beyond anything that I've lived through, because this is a dystopian, futuristic society we're talking about here. The fact that you have a poor character, you know, that is representation for people like me who have lived somewhat in somewhat bad poverty for a while in, you know, her younger years. And so that's another thing. Also, I don't mind tropes if they're done well. Again, another reason my favorite book is my favorite book, is I think that whatever tropes you would say that they had in it, they did well. And they weren't overplayed. The whole love triangle really wasn't a love triangle thing. I mean, the character knew both of these people. One had saved her life years ago, and one was a partner she had in hunting to help her survive. And of course, you would imagine that after years of friendship, that maybe somebody would develop feelings for somebody else, which kind of makes sense. And then the whole love thing played up for survival. So I think it was done right. And then the whole absent parent thing is that, you know, you have this person who is only 16 and their mother is already a widow, and, you know, that would cause deep depression and everything. And I like books that explore ideas, even if it's not done perfectly, and people find it maybe problematic. Like, I know people give John Green a lot of crap, especially for The Fault in Our Stars. Okay, let's ignore the Amsterdam thing for a second there. I like the fact that not everything was completely perfect at the end. Well, I guess you can admit that maybe some of the cancer stuff was overlooked through a lot of the book. She didn't magically get cured of it. Neither did some of the other people. And I like the fact that these characters had personalities beyond just being kids with cancer. You know, I like the fact that they, you know, try to live life and have fun, and because you have to imagine that's what you would kind of try to do, right? Like, I mean, if you didn't know if your time was coming or whatever, or if you would get really sick again, I think, you know, at least in my view, I would like to enjoy life, you know. And then there are books that kind of mix fantasy with reality. Like one of my absolute favorites, which was The Lovely Bones, which I think did a good job of depicting how a family probably would be after losing their daughter to that kind of tragedy and everything. And the mixture of that reality versus what it would be like to be a kid or anybody and lose your life, and what the afterlife would be like. You know, if you've seen that your killer was still among people, that he was your neighbor and people didn't know, and your parents are, you know, your family's falling apart, and there's this guy right here that did it all, and you can't do anything to help your family who is grieving for you. It's, you know, I just like, I'm the type of person that likes a combination of reality and fantasy, and I love if people can balance them together. I love the ideas of what ifs combined with the stuff that's happening now, and a mixture of different ideas, solutions, problems, etc. So, like I said, I know I'm kind of rambling on here, but I was just kind of thinking about what draws me to the books that I like. I love good characters. I love getting into a character's head. I love being in the world, especially if they're relatable. I love a good story that can teach you lessons without having to kind of bash one side or the other. It's like, okay, try looking at it from this person's point of view. And, like, I can understand your point, or maybe they are wrong, but teach them, not criticize. And just write a good story. you know? And stories don't always have to be dramatic. Sometimes they can be fun. But even fun can teach you some things. I like I said, I just like a story that has a good flow to it, that makes the characters realistic, but you can also have fun with it. Anyways, that's my rambly little video. Um, Tell me why you guys like books. What makes you pick books? Are you into character development? Are you more of a plot person? Do you like both? I like both, but I think characters really drive the plot. They make you care about what's going on. Anyways, see you guys next time. Bye bye.